kiddos. I'm back today with another Bible story for you. I had a special request from a special girl named Jillian, and she wanted to hear Noah and the Ark. So that was fine with me because I love me some Noah and the Ark. But before we get started about Noah and the Ark, it is just an action-packed story. I mean, it's about a man and his family. It's about a bunch of animals and a big boat. It's about a flood and a rainbow. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this story. It is a big story about big faith and a big boat and an even bigger God. But also, before I get started reading in the Bible about it, did you know that Noah was, it says he was around 500 years old when he had his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. 500 years old. I mean, there's that saying, older than dirt. I mean, Noah was old. I mean, people lived a long time back in those days. We don't live that long anymore. But now he was 500 years old when he had those kids. And then after he had those kids and they got grown and they got married, then this is when this story happens. And we know that they stayed on the boat for a good long while. So Noah was around 600 years old when he come off that boat. That's old. So, now that we've established that, I'm going to start out reading a little bit. And it said that the Lord saw how great man's wickedness on the earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil all the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, I will wipe mankind, whom I have created from the face of the earth, men and animals and creatures that move along the ground and birds of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. Noah had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for it and finish the ark to within 18 inches of the top. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it, and everything on earth will perish. So, God has decided that the earth is just full of wickedness. The people are just bad. They're just bad people. They're evil. Their ways are just corrupt. There's so much violence. And he is sorry that he even made them. So it says God devised this plan that he was going to wipe them out. He was going to wipe the animals out. He was going to wipe the people out. It says, but he found favor with Noah. And the reason he found favor with Noah was because it said Noah was a righteous man. He was a good man. And it says he was blameless and that he walked with God. So that'll be something important for you to remember for a little while later. And then he goes on to tell Noah what he's going to do. And he tells Noah to build this ark. Huge. So just think about this a minute. You know how big a school bus is. So just imagine you putting 12 school buses in a row. That's about how long the ark would have been. 12 school buses long. And it said that they it was probably about 4 school buses tall and 10 school buses wide. So this is a humongous boat. Now, I don't know if any of you have been to Kentucky to see the ark that they built there. I have not been. I'm wanting to go. I'm going to go at some point. If you've been, they say that that ark is the size that the real ark was. So that's one reason I would like to go and see it. I'd just like to see how big it is. But so just keep that in your mind. That's how big this boat was, 12 school buses long. So it goes on to say that, but I will, God's talking about this, I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. And it says, Noah did everything just as God commanded him. So that's important to remember too. God has told him what he's going to do. God has told him to build this ark. Now, he didn't just tell him to build it any old way. He told him what kind of wood to use. He told him the measurements, the size that it had to be. He told him what to do about the roof. He told him to be sure it had 3 decks, to put a door in the side. So he has given him these instructions, and then he tells him about the animals that he's to bring with him. And it says that Noah did everything just as God commanded him. It doesn't say where Noah was like, what are you talking about, God? Why in the world would I build an ark? You know, it does not say that he hesitated or that he questioned God at all. It just says he did everything just as God had told him to do. And it says that the Lord then said to him, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 2 of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and for 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature that I have made. And Noah did all that God had commanded him. So once again, he's got the ark built now. So he tells Noah to go in. You and your family and these animals go in. Now you remember it said, we always really just talk about 2 of every kind of animal, but it did say in here that they were asked to bring 7 of some kind of animals, clean animals, that they were supposed to bring 7 of those, 7 each of those. So that's something to remember for in a little while too. And it says, Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his son's wife entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds and all creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark as God had commanded Noah. And after 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth. So they're in the boat now. They're ready to go. And God sends the rain. They're shut up in there now. God has sent the rain. But it says it rained for 40 days and for 40 nights. So the flood waters was on the earth, it says, for 150 days, which is about 5 months. So that's how long that the flood waters were there. So it rained 40 days and 40 nights, but the waters was actually there for 150 days. But it says that God remembered Noah and all that was on the ark. So he sent a wind to help dry the earth. And finally, in the 7th month, after the winds had stopped, the ark rested on top of a mountain, Mount Ararat. And it says, a little while after that 40 days, that Noah opened a window he had made for the ark and probably left in some fresh air. Because, you get to thinking about it. They were in that ark with all those animals. Big animals like elephants and giraffes and buffaloes and hippopotamuses. These huge animals that stunk. So we don't have to talk about all the different smells that was probably in that boat, because you can just imagine. You can imagine. So I can imagine that after it had stopped raining, being cooped up in that ark with them stinking animals and the noise. I can't even imagine how they even slept for all the noise that all them different animals was making. But it says he opened a window. And even more importantly, it says he let out a raven, which is a bird. It would fly back and forth until the water had dried. But then he sent out a dove, but the dove couldn't find a place to land. So he waited another week. He sent the dove out again. Then the dove came back with an olive leaf in its mouth and its beak. So that meant the waters had gone down. So he waited another week, and he let the dove out again, and this time it didn't return. So this was his way of trying to figure out how much longer was they going to have to stay in this ark with all these animals. And it says from the way the Bible describes Noah, his family, and the animals were in the boat for just over a year. So that's a long time to be on a boat with a bunch of animals. That's a long time to be on a boat with anybody. Right now we're supposed to be kind of shut in. We're supposed to be not going to restaurants. We can't go to theaters. We can't have spend the night parties. We can't go to school. Some of us can't go to work. We just can't really go and do much of anything right now. So we're kind of stuck in the house. So I don't know about you, but I've complained a little bit about being stuck at the house and not being able to go anywhere and do anything. But you think about Noah and his family was on this boat for around a year, a whole year. They were on a boat. And we complain because at least we can go outside. If the weather's permitting, we can at least go outside. We can at least get in the car and ride around or get on the four-wheeler and ride. These people were stuck on a boat for that long. So you might think you got it bad right now, but just think about poor Noah. It says, when the earth had dried up enough, God told Noah that everyone could come out of the boat. He said, come on out. Noah, bring your family, bring all them animals. And you can only imagine what a happy day that was. They finally got to come out of that boat and get some fresh air and get to put their feet on the ground. It had to be a little scary too, because God had wiped out all the other humans. It was just them. He had wiped out everything except for what was in that boat with him. So there had to be some concerns too. It says after he come out, it said that Noah built an altar. And he built this altar. He used some of those, I told you they had to bring like 7 animals of some kind, of the clean animals. That's one of the reasons that they brought 7. He used some of those clean animals to build this altar and sacrifice to God and thank God for sparing him and his family during this time. So he used some of these animals that he could have had for supper. He used them to build this altar and to thank God for them. And it said that God smelt that good aroma from that altar, and he said then that he would never destroy the earth again with a flood. Um, but it says that God made the official covenant with Noah and with all the animals. Then he gave them a sign for everyone to see this promise. And I know y'all all know what the sign is. One of my favorite things. He placed a rainbow in the sky to remind Noah and his family and all the generations to come, including us, that he would never again destroy everything with a flood like he had just done. That was a covenant, and a covenant is an agreement or a promise, is what a covenant is. So he made this promise to them, and that promise extends to us as well. So, you don't really see rainbows unless it's rained. When the sky's kind of maybe a little dark and it's rained or it's stormed, and then you'll see that pretty rainbow stuck up there in the sky. And I always think about God when I see that. And it always reminds me, hey, even if it rains and rains and rains and we may think, oh, here we go again. No, he promised that the rain would stop and that he wouldn't flood the earth again. But not only do we remember that he promised that, that he's going to keep that promise, I think a rainbow can also just be a good reminder that God keeps all of his promises, every last one of them. He tells us in the Bible that he'll never leave us, that he'll never forsake us. If we belong to him, he promises that we'll spend eternity in heaven with him. We know in the Bible it says that he's preparing a place for us in heaven even now, and that he'll come back for us. All of that is true. Anything that God said in that Bible, any promises that he has made, he'll keep. People may let us down sometimes. Not God. God will never, ever let us down. And he always loves us. But there's another part of that, and that's that it says Noah walked with God, and that God found favor with Noah, and that's why he spared Noah and his family. So there's stuff that we have to do too, and that's just like Jonah. We done talked about Jonah a few weeks ago. He didn't obey the first time. He jumped up, took off running the other way because he didn't want to do what God told him to. But the second time he did. Well, Noah obeyed God. He done everything God told him to, just like God told him to. And that's why he found favor with God. So we need to remember to be obedient and to obey God. And I know you may be thinking, well, I don't hear God talking to me and telling me to do this or to do that. But you know some of the things. You're not supposed to lie. You're not supposed to steal. You're not supposed to kill. You're not supposed to say mean and ugly words. You're supposed to obey your mom and your dad. There's things that that you're supposed to do and not do. And that's all part of obeying God, is you do what you're supposed to do. And just a reminder, if you have a certain story that you would like me to do the next time, you tell your mom and daddy to let me know what story it is, and we'll see about doing it next week. And you'll also have more mail coming. It'll probably be the first of next week, maybe Saturday, or the first of next week, one before you get it. But I hope y'all have a really good day. I hope you enjoy your mail when it gets there. And y'all just be good and be safe.